Did you ever hear the tragedy of Fallout, a post-nuclear role game? It's an old legend. You see, in most RPGs, or CRPGs, or JRPGs, or ARPGs, it's really the designer who is telling the story, and the player just gets to lightly customize it by clicking dialogue options. And that's cool. There is nothing wrong with that, but that's not what Fallout was. In Fallout, the player was the storyteller. Unfortunately, tragically, many critics and theorists considered such powers to be unnatural, and so this storytelling medium still has no formal name, despite being a quarter of a century old.
Nope.
One individual told me that Fallout is simply too smart to be understood. Perhaps it's best if we never fully get it. Who knows what would happen if the truths about the human condition contained within were to set loose upon the world. So today, we'll be using the storytelling toolkit once again. This will be a party-centric adventure, which is exotic as Fallout tuah is not a party-based game. Such playstyle requires careful planning, starting with character creation. Here are some numbers for you. The follower limit formula is your charisma score divided by 2, with the maximum number of companions being 5. There is a perk we can take that increases the limit by 1. So in order to get a full party, we need a charisma of 8. But we can temporarily improve our charisma by using drugs and by wearing cool shades, so we can make do with a value of 6. If you want to be a real min-maxer, you can go as low as 4, but this way you won't get a full party until late game, and frankly, stat points are just not that valuable. Our primary skills are small guns, speech, and lockpick. Very safe choices. We are Friedrich, named after someone from an old book. Our tribe is starving. The Elder says that pre-war technology, an ancient device called the Garden of Eden Creation Kit, can save our village from drought. In order to obtain this device, we journey into the wastes. Our first destination is the nearby town of Klamath Falls.
The spirit's with me, friend. They be all around. Sometimes talk.
Here is a rhetorical question. What's the difference between a tribal and a vault dweller? The difference is that the residents of the wasteland communities don't really have an opinion on vault dwellers, but they do have one on tribals, and the opinion is that they hate them. Nice tribal, good tribal, don't hurt me. I sure wish we had a wall around the town. Last thing we need is more like you. In Fallout 2, we are a stranger, an alien in a foreign country, being racismed at. So basically, Klamath sucks. Good thing we found another tribal to solidarize with.
Spirits be everywhere. Travel with we and I. Grampy won't do most of talking.
Sulik is a big weirdo who talks to ghosts. He got a little too enthusiastic with firewater consumption, and long story short, the man is now in an indentured servitude until he pays off his debt to society.
You heading south? We'll walk about with you and look for sis. You having $350?
Actually, after selling a bunch of random trash I picked up, we do. Sulik? Well, he may be slow, but he does sort of grow on you after a while. I don't like him having to stay here with a bigot like you. I'll pay for the damages. The types of weapons a companion can use is determined by their animation frames. Sulik has animations for a submachine gun and a heavy pistol, but not for a normal pistol or a rifle. Jank. This is the companion control UI, introduced in the second game. It's used to control their equipment and behavior. Hey Sulik, what do the spirits say about what we should be doing next?
Seek a reflection of your...
My thoughts exactly. We will gather a team of like-minded individuals, tribals, rebels, exiles. We will make intersectional connections and deconstruct the structures of power of the so-called civilized man. Onwards to adventure.
While Jacob was alive, I thought the master was wrong. But it seems that while some men can heed the call and rise above it all, most just run away.
If you want to play with companions, you better have positive karma. Few will follow a villain. This limits our career options here in the den. Oh my god, are you an angel? Why, it's none other than this Chrysalis Motors Highwayman. Does it run? If it ran, do you think I'd still be in this shithole of a town? I guess not. We need to find something called a fuel cell controller to repair the vehicle. It'll take us a while. It seems at one point, this place used to be a quiet, unassuming little town like Klamath. That was until the slavers moved in. With them came the gangs and the drugs from Reno. Vic, the electronics expert and a potential friend, is now slavers' property. They will let him go for $1,000. But I have a better idea. Kill the slavers, get Vic for free, make $1,000. So we put locks on the internal and then the external door, effectively separating the slavers into 3 groups. This way, Sulik and Friedrich can take out the outer guards without anyone else interfering. So far, so good. Unfortunately, I kind of outplayed myself. We had to go to Western Den to buy Stimpaks, and when we came back, all the doors were unlocked. Uh-oh. Nevertheless, we almost won, and that's despite the fact that Friedrich is only level 4. But you know what they say, excuses are like assholes, everyone has one. We'll have to flee and return to the den once we are stronger. Broken Hills, a small mining town. Humans, mutants, and ghouls living together.
I'm Marcus. Help build the place. Now I'm sheriff.
The town was founded by a Brotherhood of Steel Knight and a Unity super mutant who became friends.
These new governments, they think they've got all the answers. Blah, blah. Been there, seen that. Got the scars.
Zaius at the mine says he may have some work for me next month. Good! If you get your fat ass out of the house, I'm all for it. Most mutants in the town are old and decrepit, but at least the quality of life in Broken Hills seems to be rather high. This is a good segue to one of the more heated debates that was recently reanimated by the Fallout show. Is Fallout about capitalism? And the answer is, that depends. Fallout games are quite different from one another. In Fallout New Vegas, there is a character that looks the player in the eye and asks them to make a choice between a liberal democracy, authoritarianism, right libertarianism, and something anarchy-coded. But what about the classic games? Are they about capitalism? Friends, to help us figure this out, I am so excited. This is a big moment for me. Today, we have the creator of Fallout, Carl Marcus, in the studio with us. So, Carl, what's your stance on the whole capitalism thing? Well, let's take a look at Broken Hills here. There are 3 very different groups living together. The mutants mine the ore. They are the best for the job as they are physically strong. The ghouls operate the uranium refinery. Again, they are perfect for this because the ghouls are invulnerable to radiation. And the humans run the trading caravans. That's right. If I were to make this about capitalism, I would design the conflict in Broken Hills to be about the ownership of the mine. Whoever controlled the mine would wield great power over the community. They would establish a police force, and then they would, for the lack of a better word, dick everyone else. I don't believe we ever learn who owns the mine in Broken Hills. Yes, because it's irrelevant. What we do in Broken Hills is mend the rifts that exist between different communities. Having multi-species society is generally worth it. The high quality of life is evidence of that. But then you have human racists and mutant vigilantes taking matters into their own hands and so on. The point is, building and maintaining such society takes effort. So, Carl Marcus is a lib. Correct. And I'm a hill dog as well. Hack the meme frame.
What the hell? I'm too old to settle down.
Marcus joins us after we solve the town's most pressing problems. He is armed with a minigun, which is incredible at this stage of the adventure. Mutants can't wear armor, but the wiki says he has built-in protection equivalent to combat armor. I have not forgotten about our unfinished business back in the den. Getting Marcus in the early game is the best thing ever. Watch this. Minigun reloads can be hard to acquire, but, you know, we'll make it work. I am forever in your debt. Vic finally joins our team. He is not actually particularly good at anything, but if you stick with him, he eventually learns to hit stuff with a rifle pretty well. Unfortunately, Vic doesn't know much about pre-war technology and he can't help our community in Arroyo. Oh well, no matter. Friedrich's mind is occupied by other sorts of intellectual pursuits.
When I came across the Mordino family way back when, they were farming peyote cacti and trying to sell it to tourists as the Reno experience. Total bullshit.
Our buddy Marcus is not impressed with the biggest little city in the world. Now this is a fine example why the master was right. You say that about every place we visit. Perhaps we can change his mind. This is Cat's Paw, New Reno's famous brothel. I think we can accommodate your friend 700 chips. A steep price, but we made so much money selling the slaver equipment, we can afford it. I sure hope I didn't get her pregnant. Wait, what?
Didn't your folks explain this to you?
You are supposed to be sterile.
Nope. Well, not now. It takes a few years after being dipped to get the juices flowing again.
What an interesting and confusing retcon. So, Master's plan to convert everyone to a super mutant wasn't as tragically flawed as we were led to believe. Strange that we learn about this from an easily missable throwaway line. The person responsible for this dialogue seems to be none other than the legendary RPG writer Chris Avalon. A few months ago, Chris published a critique of the Fallout show. He made some contrarian statements and then one thing led to another. I'll spare you the details, but basically some individuals got real philosophical, questioning the role of the developer in determining the meaning of the story. Does the creator of Fallout, Karl Marcus, determine the meaning of your story? Yes, sure. If Carl comes to your house, sits on your chair, and then you play the game together and create the story together, which we happen to be doing now. At a glance, when it comes to the medium of Fallout, the intentionalist ideas seem to be very easy to make fun of. Fallout is not a story, it's a set of tools. How can a set of tools have a meaning? What a strange thing to suggest. That said, the design of the storytelling tools determines the general shape of the story. Any Fallout adventure will feature a protagonist traveling from place to place and solving various local problems. Furthermore, Fallout was designed by a collective of individuals. Some of them might have had conflicting ideas about certain characters and world concepts. So there is something to intentionalism, at least in exotic cases such as this one. TLDR, no, mutant jizz doesn't work.
Nope.
Anyway, we have another logistical problem. Marcus' minigun is running low on ammo. This is Reno, so the best way to acquire money and equipment is by working for the crime families. I am Jesus Mordino. You will address me as Senor Mordino. Jesus asks us to deliver a package to a place called The Stables. What the hell you want, tribal trash? The stables are packed with slaves, Brahmin, and advanced lab equipment. This is where they make Jet, the addictive amphetamine type of a substance that conquered California. An impressive operation. Open fire. I'm less interested in the Jet itself and more in the talent behind it.
You stupid Jet, motherfucker, Jet! You're talking to its maker, its creator, its god.
The Fallout Wiki describes Myron as a teenage pharmacologist, slaver, and sexual predator.
What? You need Myron's resume?
Mordino wants product. Myron makes product. Mordino give Myron slaves and wealth. But what they don't give him is respect. This is why it's easy to persuade him to join our group.
Let's blow this popsicle stand.
I don't like being racism, Dad, so let's try a different crime family. Well, pleased to meet you, Friedrich. Glad you stopped by. Damn neighborly of you. Looking for work in family right, huh? What makes you think I'd want tribal trash like you in my family? I wish someone would make this guy sterile. The boss man wants us to find a way into the Sierra Army Depot, a pre-war military facility untouched by scavengers.
Well, not on purpose. I mean, slaves are expensive. Still, we made the money back in the first few months, so the Mordino family wasn't too pissed at me.
We are about to walk into some heavy shit, says Marcus. The base is protected by deadly auto turrets. They can be disabled by critting their sensor lenses from a distance. Inside the munitions bunker is the first of many gifts of the Sierra facility, a rocket launcher for Marcus. Sequence break. Own zone. This place is pristine, once-in-a-lifetime find. The biggest obstacle preventing us from obtaining the treasures of the Sierra Depot are the red force fields. They do quite a bit of damage to everyone who touches them. Friedrich orders Vic and Myron to use their repair and science skills on the shield emitter, hoping this would disable it, but it doesn't seem to have any effect. I guess we'll have to explore the base solo, so I tell everyone to wait.
Whoa, hey, you keep me around? I'll do you a favor.
Myron refuses to leave the group and keeps acting like a baby. The base arsenal. It's probably best if the Wrights don't get access to this. A plasma rifle. Don't mind if I do. The massive supercomputer is, of course, sentient. It calls itself Skynet, an excellent choice of a name. Skynet tells precious little about itself. It was trapped here for centuries, says it wants to leave this place, and for that purpose, it needs a body. The first step is to retrieve a compatible brain from the base organ storage system. The quality of the brain you get is determined by the science skill. For optimal results, we need a cybernetic brain. Friedrich is bad at the sciences, so he got the abnormal brain instead. Whatever, I'm not paid to do this. By uploading a dangerous sentient AI into the brain of a moron, we effectively created a cybernetic pet with the intellect of a pack animal. How about that for AI safety, Eliza Yudkovsky? See? I had this shit under control. Trust the plan. Every time we visit Reno, I'm shocked by how clean the streets are. The trash can aesthetic came to Fallout in the later games. We'll be using the basement of Mr. Bishop's Shark Club as our HQ. It's not occupied anyway. So, where should this private military company be deployed next? Any ideas? Myron?
Reading? Town full of gold diggers. Mordino wants to control it all, so he comes to me in his wheezing voice and says, Myron, make me something that'll give me Reading.
So Jesus Mordino originally ordered Myron to create Jet in order to control the ore miners in the town of Reading. Honestly, it's genius. Jet is addictive. It makes you stronger and faster so that you can be a better laborer. The mines of Reading are California's primary source of gold. The wastelanders have abandoned bottle caps, embracing the gold coins instead. He who controls the gold controls the economy. The sleazy mayor sells us a deed to the great Wanamingo mine with just $1,000. Why is it so cheap? Well, it's because it's infested with horrible monstrosities, of course. A Wanamingo's the single ornariest critter there is. Tall as 2 men, stronger than a bull Brahmin, and with flapping suckers instead of arms. Supposedly, Indians called him up for revenge on the white man for what the war did. Friedrich is somewhat underleveled, but it all works out because there are a lot of us, and Marcus is doing amazing things with his plasma rifle. We clear the mine, destroy the eggs, and the deed goes up in value. We can sell it for 3 times as much. My dad is a good miner, but he wants to be a magician. Daddy's stage name is Melchior the Magnificent. His best trick is pulling rat out of a hat. He went away with some man dressed in metal clothes. I'm not ready to take a side in the politics of Reading until we met with all the actors. Vic the Trader marked our map with the location of one of the regional power players, a place called Vault City.
The first vault dweller? What? You must mean another vault. We have never been in contact with another vault. Where is it located?
Vault City plays an important and underappreciated role in this franchise, showing that the Vault Man lifestyle can be desirable for Wastelanders. Not all vaults are death traps, just most of them. This is a flourishing community protected by a wall, several walls actually, and a ring of high-tech defense towers. Marcus will have to wait for us at the gate. No muties allowed. Let's check out the local stores. What do you... Dad? I mean, I don't think so. She's talking about Vic. Still running around the wastes, selling shiny junk to tribals? Ignore her, boss. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Are you still calling everyone you meet boss? I've always hated that about you. Turns out, a long time ago, our buddy Vic had an affair with a Vault City citizen. I think we'll leave Vic with his daughter. We'll need a free companion slot very soon.
Good day to you, stranger. I am First Citizen Lynette. May I inquire as to your business here?
The leader of a de facto slaver state, the first citizen isn't super fond of wastelanders. Wait a second. I'm detecting trace elements of a capitalism. Let's see. We have a class of privileged vault dwellers who benefit from controlling the old world technology. They command a force of vault cops, and beneath them there is a servant class. What makes this uncapitalist is the lack of drive for expansion. Lynette doesn't seem to be aware of what's happening outside the walls, Reading being a notable exception. She's shocked when we show her our Vault jumpsuit.
These are authentic. Unbelievable. You are a survivor from another vault. Welcome to our city. You must have suffered much in the outside world.
While mutants are not allowed inside the city walls, no such restrictions exist in the courtyard. The locals are fascinated to see a super mutant. The bartender is a veteran wastelander, John Cassidy. There was a raid last week. Citizen Sergeant Stark and his goons broke in looking for illegal substances. The alcohol got confiscated, so Cassidy has to buy it from merchants at triple the standard rate. TLDR, your Vault City sucks. Cassidy joins our unit in place of Vic. He can shoot conventional pistols and rifles and use handgun type of energy weapons. He can also fight with a spear, although the man is embarrassed to admit this. Nothing wrong with using a spear. Don't want people mistaking me for old bone nose over here. I've never seen no tribal do something as dumb as jam a bone in his nose. Did you know that I am a tribal? Oh, don't be playing with old Cassidy now. You ain't no tribal. Yes, I am. Neo-racist. In order to get the Vault City citizenship, we must take a free citizenship exam. It's designed to be failed by the vast majority of individuals. You need to build your character specifically around the test in order to pass it.
Or there is another way to become a citizen.
A bunch of ghouls in the nearby town of Gecko are operating a nuclear power plant. It's poisoning the groundwater. Lynette sends the unit to Gecko. Our mission is to disable the power plant and stop the pollution. The economy of the ghoul town is based on subsistence agriculture. The mechanic trades us a fuel cell controller in exchange for some repair tools. That's the part we need to reanimate the vehicle in the den. The local business ghoul called Gordon keeps talking about how great it is to be greedy and how greed makes the world go round. Curious, could it be that Gecko is the hiding place of capitalism in the game? Kind of, but not really. The ghouls can offer cheap electricity to Vault City in exchange for medicine. It would be highly beneficial for both communities to cooperate. The problem is that this sort of woke thinking will not go well with Lynette, who is violently racist against ghouls.
Those things are...
The conflict here is much harder to resolve than the one in Broken Hills, and it requires us to do a lot of fetch questing, delivering diplomatic correspondence to a progressive council member, all done behind Lynette's back. Eventually, Friedrich is rewarded with Vault City citizenship.
The proconsul mentioned we had gained a new citizen.
Becoming a citizen gives us a lot of privileges. For one, we are no longer searched when entering the city, although mutant followers are still not allowed in. For two, we can now access Vault 8, its database, and the advanced technology inside. And three, becoming a citizen is a requirement for the game's most obscure, most secret, and the most New Vegas-like side quest, which will have us kill a bunch of raiders and be placed in charge of the Vault City military.
Your patriotism will not go unrewarded. Go now. Time is of the essence.
These raiders don't make much sense. If they're raiders, they know military tactics, they stay in formation, they never cross their lines of fire. The last attack, they disabled a laser turret on the western perimeter. They had a clear shot into the city, and then I saw one of their captains order them to fall back. Makes no sense. The Raider HQ is located halfway between Vault City and Broken Hills. These are certainly not your grandpa's cons. Lynette is a good-looking woman, well, in an aristocratic, domineering, slave-advocating kind of a way. An astute observation.
This battle is one of the game's many excellent and underrated combat encounters.
Most raiders have moderate HP pools and weak-ish defenses. The lieutenants are equipped with combat armor, and they have more staying power. A great number of enemies are armed with automatic rifles, which they'll spray vaguely in the direction of the party. Marcus sure takes a lot of damage, despite the supposedly built-in armor. I had to inject him with stims to keep the mutant alive. And that's Shadow Who Walks, a tribal pathfinder and a class traitor working for the Raiders. Marcus? The account book lists a series of payments made to the mercenary band from the Bishop family in New Reno. It's important that we ignore the game's advice and don't go to the first citizen with this info. Not yet. Not before we investigate John Bishop and have a full picture of what's going on. But first things first. Smitty the mechanic sells us the car, installs the missing part, and the upgrade we got in Klamath Falls. The vehicle makes map travel a lot less dangerous, and it comes with trunk space and a new world map theme. Is that a car? Damn. So how do we get to Bishop's private quarters? Any ideas? Sulik?
Look for the vision that does not belong.
Sure. So the quickest way of getting to the upper floors is by sleeping with Bishop's daughter Angela. I believe doing this is essential for the canonical ending for New Reno. Bishop's private safe is booby-trapped. If you trigger the trap, which of course you will do because who the hell puts points in the trap skill, make sure you hide in the corner until the alerted guard leaves. The holodisc contains incriminating information on Bishop's secret deal with the New California Republic. The plan is to put pressure on Vault City in order to force them into an alliance with the NCR. Wait, where the hell is my car?
The highwayman was stolen by a group of small business owners residing in an otherwise inaccessible location in Reno called the Chop Shop. The hijacker's plan is to make cosmetic repairs to the vehicle so that it can be subsequently sold to Mr. Bishop for serious chips. Friedrich matches Bishop's offer. There is no reason to haggle. We'll get all the money back. Because as soon as they're done with the upgrades, we don't need these guys anymore. What are they gonna do? Call the police?
They sent mercenaries to murder my people because I wouldn't join their government.
Enraged by our discovery, First Citizen wants us to travel to the New California Republic and pass important information to a pro-Vault City senator.
One of the annoyances of playing with a party is that many characters will refuse to speak to you if any of your followers have a weapon out, so we need to manually order each member of the party to hide their weapon.
Fine, whatever. Still want to try out that new burst fire technique I've been working on, though.
Mr. Weston is one of the Brahmin barons we heard so much about in the Vegas game. There is even a side quest where we get involved in Brahmin ranching activities. Weston has a great appreciation for Vault City and its citizens, possibly because he has a heart condition, and Vault City has the finest medical science in California. With the information we provided, he should be able to take down Tandy's Black Op at the next council debate. Here's the thing, in order to finish the quest with the best possible outcome, we have to generate enough respect points with Lynette. Just completing the assignments she gives us is insufficient. You generate respect by being polite to the First Citizen and by addressing her by her title. It doesn't seem that it's possible to create enough respect points organically, so what you have to do is loop the dialogue branch that has us addressing her as First Citizen.
Yes, of course.
Triggering this dialogue 15 or so times makes her like us enough to unlock the hidden ending.
Your service has been exemplary. So much so that it is my honor to name you Captain of the Guard. Congratulations, Captain. You deserve it.
Vault City prevails, First Citizen. She effectively places us in charge of the Vault 8 oppression machine. This has all sorts of fun reactivity. Friedrich now outranks the gate guards, so they can't stop us from bringing Marcus the Mutant into the city. We can pull rank on Sergeant Stark and make him pay compensation to Cassidy for the bar raid mentioned earlier. He is not impressed with the changes. Permission to speak freely, sir. Granted. You don't deserve your post. I have lived in Vault City all my life. The men and women under my command trust me and respect me, not you, sir. There is no doubt that you are capable and that you know Vault City better than I do. Nevertheless, I have shown results where you have not. Never forget that.
Nice try, no dice. Jet ain't blocked that easy. Once it's in your system, it ain't coming out.
This is a good time to complete the game's Soul Companion quest, convincing Myron that Jet Antidote is possible.
Well, maybe it would work, but I'm pretty sure Jet would just chew right through that shit. Now, why the hell are we even talking about this? Where would you get your hands on endorphin blockers anyway?
We can get the required chemicals in Vault 8. Friedrich explains his theory to the Vault Doctor, who then synthesizes the cure. Back to Redding. Painless Doc Johnson is a Vault City citizen and an agent of influence of sorts. He knows what to do with the antidote.
Medical technology is our soft power. Friedrich and the crew are our hard power. This is the beginning of the end of the Big Jesus narco state.
I'm Tandy, president of NCR. My boys tell me you're looking for work. What are you handy at?
A group of bandits known as the New Cons are terrorizing California from their base in Vault 15. Who the hell are you? My name's, Pat. I'm new here. Oh yeah, sorry, didn't recognize you at first. Using the speech skill, the group, comprising 2 tribals, a super mutant, an old man, and a science nerd, marched into the con lair as if they owned the place. Darion, the Raider Chief, is the son of Garl Deathhand, the leader of the Raiders from Fallout 1. Tandy, the President, is the daughter of the Village Chief from the first game. The children are still fighting the battle started by their parents. War never changes. The tradition of all dead generations weighs like a nightmare on the brains of the living. That's right, Carl. It really makes me ponder the human condition. The problem is that the second Fallout Fallout game takes place almost 80 years after the events of Fallout 1. This means Daryon is almost 100 years old. The designers put real effort into making this silly idea work. The cons have a treadmill and a bench. They are into physical fitness. Daryon has steroids on his body. It's probably a bad idea to use steroids for longevity, but if you played Fallout 1, you know that these games are not made by medical doctors. And what about his arch-rival Tandy? Well, it seems she was lightly retconned, making her a little younger, which has certain unfortunate implications. But at least the writers had the presence of mind not to feed her buff out. Considering the vector of Tandy's political career, this would have turned her into Hitler II. Anyways, in the database here in the dungeon, we learned the location of the legendary Vault 13. The story of the Vault Dweller and the Master is well known in the Wastes. Well, that's new. The talking animals are one of the most ridiculed features of this game, and this is exacerbated by the whimsical nature of some of the dialogue. The Deathclaws are not hostile. You can be their friend and even do a quest for them. A hooded figure wearing a long-sleeved robe. A unique sprite. You can tell this character is important. I don't recognize you, semicolon. Are you new here? Goris is a historian of sorts. The Deathclaws were made intelligent by a pre-war compound called FEV. This was done by a group of humans known as the Enclave. The mysterious creature is the last useful companion we'll get in the game.
The United States does still exist. God bless us, everyone. We've just had to adapt in order to survive after the war.
The Mariposa military base. In the first game it was the Mutant HQ. In the sequel it's a dungeon type of a location stuck between two urban centers. When combat begins, Goris dramatically tosses off the robes, revealing his Deathclaw form. He never actually tells you he's a Deathclaw, so this might be quite a surprise. The animations of Goris taking off the robes and putting them back take about 4-5 seconds each, and the game will freeze while the animations play. That's annoying. As a companion, he is not as useful as Sulik or Marcus, but he's about on the level of Cassidy.
Spirits see the shadow that cast your shadow here from before.
The base and the mutant factory inside were destroyed by the Vault Dweller almost a century ago. Eventually, the ruin was discovered by the Enclave. The Metal Men drafted a bunch of wastelanders to use for excavating the base. Once inside, the trooper Frank Horrigan was exposed to the FEV. His body began to change. He was sent to Control Station Enclave for study. Anticipating the confrontation, the wastelanders, now FEV mutants, began secretly stashing away weapons. Soon they rose up against their overseers, and after suffering heavy casualties, the Enclave forces fell back and sealed the mutants in. Level 2 has a suit of power armor for us to grab, but getting to it means dealing with the mutant horde. We are carried by our unit. Like the protagonist, the followers also gain levels, but they do it in a particularly stupid way. Every companion has a chance to level up when the PC does, and the chance seems to be roughly 50%. So you need to save before you gain a level, and then save scum to make sure all important companions actually improve. That's stupid. Considering this place was sealed for a long time, I wonder, what do they eat? Mole rats, I guess. The daily nutritional requirements of a super mutant must be crazy. The boss of the dungeon resides roughly where the vats used to be. Melchior the Magnificent. A well-put-together scripted encounter. When the magician does this animation, it means he is about to spawn FEV monsters, like a rat out of a hat. They are dangerous, come in waves, and can easily overwhelm you.
You have died.
The solution is to do a lot of drugs and focus fire on Melchior. The rewards for finishing the dungeon are power armor, ghost pistol, and a start upgrade chip. Not bad. We'll put all of this to good use in San Francisco. Man, you humans never cease to amaze me. We finally found a city Marcus likes. The stores here sell the kind of stuff that would make the Enclave jealous. There is free Gauss ammo on the she-guards. But the true purpose of us being here is the ship, home of the libertarian tanker vagrants. The underbelly of the ship is infested with every type of FEV abomination, including those you don't normally see outside of random encounters. The gimmick in this battle is that we are attacked from all directions. The incoming damage will be distributed over several characters. You'll have to keep track of everyone's HP and inject super stims as required. Rescuing the friend of one of the tanker punks is an important prerequisite to getting the ship sailing again. Otherwise, we'll have to get involved with the local faction politics, and that's quite a mess. I used to serve with the Enclave, but then I realized it wasn't the USA I was fighting for. It was for the rich old bastards who didn't want to give up their power. Uh-oh. Capitalism? The Enclave is the remnants of the old times. If you take this thing across the water to the rig, you'll find out for yourself. I completely forgot about this, but talking Deathclaws have psionic powers in Fallout 2. Goris suddenly senses that his pack is in trouble. We need to hurry back to Vault 13. There is blood everywhere. The creatures are dead, their eggs destroyed. The computer terminal has a security recording. You tell your so-called president that he will burn for this. Whatever. You were never anything more than a talking animal. That may be, but we were created through your experimentation. You gave us life. And now, I give you death.
Your ride's over, Mutie. Time to die.
Honestly, Frank is so cool. What he does in this game is that he goes from location to location and kills some of the worst written characters in Fallout 2, mocking them before they die.
You're just a walking corpse.
Frank Horrigan, quite literally, did nothing wrong. So let's repair the tanker and meet our hero. For that purpose, the unit will have to travel to the American military base Navarro.
Jump, you jump! When I say fight, you fight! When I tell you to die for your country, then you will certainly die! Have I made myself clear?
Howdy, stranger. Whoa, check out that set of wheels. You ever heard of the Enclave? Are they around? I want to join up. Join up? You're a tribal. What makes you think they'd want a tribal, and with a posse no less? That's an excellent question indeed. Too bad I have 100 points in speech, and basically you'll do whatever I say.
Okay, you check out. Report to the drill chief. Go through the gate, past the kennel, it's the first door on the right.
If the player saves comes the encounters, one can travel to San Francisco as soon as you leave Arroyo. From there, you can go to Navarro and get a bunch of free end-game equipment.
I am not his sir! I work for a living, you moron! You will call me Sergeant or Sergeant Dornan! Do you understand me?
After getting all the plot-important items and rescuing Goris' colleague, the talking Deathclaw Sard, I consider leaving Navarro. After all, our work here is done. But then, while we don't have to do this, if we go that extra mile, we can become legends. The frontal assault on Navarro is one of the hardest battles in the game. The first thing you do is pre-buff with drugs, and inject your companions as well. As soon as the fight starts, you need to disable the sensor lenses on both plasma turrets. 3 heavy troopers and a pair of turrets are capable of doing hundreds of points of damage in a turn if they choose to focus their fire. The thing to avoid at all costs is letting your companions charge past the gate. In order to control their movement, you have to place yourself in this exact hex, blocking the way with your body. This motherfucker, and no, it's not the sergeant, is a priority target because he or she crits ridiculously often. I already have a broken leg and a broken arm.
After securing the position, make sure to kill every single living or mechanical thing in range. That was the sergeant. In the end, I've even managed to keep the talking Deathclaw Xarn alive, undoing some of Frank Horrigan's work. Contact the first citizen. I'm annexing Navarro for Vault City.
You know, back in Arroyo, Shaman Hakunin used to tell us that our burden will only get heavier. But that's what friends are for. Looting Navarro made us so wealthy we can afford to buy all the power armor in San Francisco, and we just might do that. It's time for the final act. We are going to the control station Enclave. A Fallout game where you travel from place to place in a boat would be cool. They returned to the idea of a boat community in Fallout 3, and it's just as underdeveloped in that game. So, let's save the world, I guess.
You might find that tougher than you think. If you do, I'll go to my reward knowing that I died a patriot and a servant of humanity.
Never thought you'd keep an old-timer like me around this long. Let's get this job done and go home. But where is our home, Cass? Hey Sulik, what do the spirits say?
Where the quaking rock dwells, follow the path you cannot see.
I don't think he ever spoke to spirits. The remnants of the American government command incredible technology, advanced power armor, functioning aircraft, ability to uplift animals. If they wanted to restore the old United States, the first step would be to deploy a power armor squad from a vertibird into the government district of Shady Sands. Instead, they chose to use this impressive power for something else. I'm afraid that the conclusion is unavoidable. Conclusion? What conclusion? In order to retake the Earth and maintain the integrity of the human race, all you mutants will have to be destroyed. To achieve their goal of cleansing the world of wastelanders, the Enclave developed a modified airborne version of the FEV toxin they borrowed from Mariposa. With a successful speech check, Friedrich convinces the scientist that his ethics are flawed and that the wastelanders are a living proof of humanity's resilience. Consequently, the scientist agrees to release the FEV toxin into the air filtration system here on the rig, killing almost everyone not wearing protection. This sounds like a big deal, but it isn't. In order to take out the rig, you have to blow up the central computer. The individuals who die from the gas are irrelevant generic NPCs. The power armor troops and the president will be unharmed.
Hello, I'm the President of the United States of America, and you are...
We should kidnap this guy, bring him to Lynette. We can make Vault City the new capital of the United States.
You could try, I suppose, but soon the staff of the Enclave and Navarro will be inoculated.
The president doesn't seem to know about what happened in Navarro, or even that the toxin is already inside the ventilation system. The way to the tanker is blocked by the Enclave squad. Meet Sergeant Granite of the Enclave Control Company. That freak, Agent Horrigan, just stormed past here. He's waiting for someone to try and make a break for it. Friedrich, being the master negotiator, convinces Granite to be our ally against the End Boss. So it's our protagonist, 4 power armor troopers, Marcus the super mutant, Myron the nerd, Goris the Deathclaw, Sulik the tribal, and Cass the resentimental wastelander against Frank Horrigan and the minigun turrets. Sorry, liberal, you'll have to arrest all of us.
Frank Horrigan, United States Secret Service. You aren't going anywhere from here.
I, too, am with the Secret Service of the legitimate government in America. I was worried we might lose Goris here, cause all the enemies have burst-firing weapons that deal devastating damage at close range. Like always, the first thing you do is disable the sensors on the auto turrets. Frank goes after the control company. Instead of charging the boss, Goris decided to finish off the damaged turrets. We have not lost a single companion so far. Cassidy crits Frank, bringing the giant to his knees. Most of Horrigan's HP was erased by our new best friend Sergeant Granite, who is armed with a Gauss rifle. It's all a terrible tragedy. I hate having to do this. Frank had a lot of friend potential. The Enclave Control Company makes a return in a Hearts of Iron mod Old World Blues. You know what I just realized? We forgot Myron at the oil rig. People have been talking about this game for 27 years and counting, and yet this way of telling stories doesn't even have a name. Oh my god, we should name it! What should we call it? We can name it after a brigade or a forums poster. Post your ideas in the comments so I can steal them. And also, give me money on Patreon. Patron credits, and then we'll see the real ending of Fallout Tuah. These videos are made possible thanks to our patrons of the Cyber Society Study Platoon, including Jim Lawrence, Billy Strayhorn, Mopo, Dmitry U, Maciej V, I Feed My Parrot Chicken, Ray Ners, Anaheim Electronics, Ilya Rubin, Arkelis, Frog, a 2-room apartment in Bobruisk, Belarus, Celtic, Azazel and Baneful the Doggo, Mada Pasta, Danny Kilpatrick, C6, Tony Spagoni, Dark Butt Pumpkin, Azek Tserev, 1967 Ford Mustang, Ganso Bomber Motherfucker, Yuri Solodovnichenko, and Snafu. Unlike Fallout 1, the second game has an option to continue playing after the ending. The destruction of the control station Enclave changes quite a few things in the wasteland. Our destination is Reno. The Enclave, the president, tell me the whole story. The Enclave never messed with me, but I'm glad they're gone. They were still fighting the war? Really? Good thing you wasted those bastards. We get a discount in Reno bars, extra dialogue, and an infinite XP generating cheat item. Fergus got that frown look on his face when he saw how many float text messages I have. He is such a sourpuss. Floats is what they called barks in classic Fallout. New Reno was designed by Chris Avalon and scripted by Tom French. Rumor has it they will marry soon. This town is one of the locations criticized for being wacky and inauthentic. I think what makes it work is the complete lack of voice acting. The Omertas in Vegas have voices, and it only serves to make them look dumber. We miss Team Kane. He used to cook wonderful bread. Then he would spank us like small children. Women in this town seem like they were designed by some immature sex-starved geek who lives in his parents' basement. There is more reactivity in Vault City. Marcus will now be allowed inside, even if we never got placed in charge of the military. Good job down south. Saw the fireworks all the way up here. Looks like we earned the respect of Citizen Sergeant Stark.
Word of your brave deed has traveled quickly. Is it true? Was the government still waging the war?
Yes, they thought of wastelanders as inferior beings and were planning on exterminating all of us.
How callous. How cruel. Were they not aware of the community we had built here?
Perhaps an important lesson can be learned here, Lynette. They were locked up in a tin can in the ocean, isolated from everyone, not doing much grass touching. Perhaps we in Vault City should re-examine our relationship with the outside world.
That may be a valid point. Next time we should make a stronger effort to find these remnants of the government and ally ourselves with them.
First Citizen, how did you possibly think this is what I meant? Another day, another banger.